The fluorescent lights of the pediatric intensive care unit had become my entire world. My daughter Emma, just 3 months old, lay in the incubator with tubes running from her tiny body. Respiratory syncytial virus, the doctors said. Critical but stable. Those 2 words had become my mantra, repeated every time a machine beeped or a nurse rushed in to check vitals. I'd been here for 72 hours straight, sleeping in the uncomfortable vinyl chair beside her crib, leaving only to use the bathroom. The chair had left permanent indentations on my back. My clothes smelled like antiseptic and fear. I hadn't showered since we arrived. None of it mattered compared to watching Emma's chest rise and fall, counting each breath like a prayer. My stomach had stopped growling around hour 50. Now it just ached, a dull, constant reminder that I hadn't eaten since the granola bar I'd grabbed before the ambulance came. The hospital cafeteria had closed hours ago, and I couldn't leave Emma's side long enough to find food elsewhere. What if something happened while I was gone? What if she needed me and I wasn't there? The vending machines on this floor had been emptied yesterday. I checked twice. My wallet had $43 in it, but that didn't matter when there was nowhere to spend it and no one to watch Emma while I searched. I pulled out my phone and opened the family group chat. Mom, Dad, my older sister Jennifer, and my younger brother Marcus. Surely one of them could help. I haven't eaten in days, I typed, my fingers shaking slightly from exhaustion and hunger. Please bring food. Anything. I'm at City General, Pediatric ICU. The 3 dots appeared almost immediately. Mom was typing. You chose to be a single mom, deal with it. I stared at the message, waiting for the follow-up, the clarification, anything that would make it not mean what it clearly meant. But nothing came. Then Jennifer's message popped up. We told you not to have that baby. Actions have consequences. Marcus added his contribution. Can't bail you out of every bad decision, sis. Dad's message was last. Your mother's right. You made your bed. I set the phone down carefully on the small side table, my hands no longer shaking. Something cold and clear settled over me. I looked at Emma's tiny chest rising and falling with the help of the ventilator, and I made a decision. Understood, I typed back. Then I muted the group chat. A nurse named Patricia found me around 2 a.m., crying silently beside Emma's crib. She didn't ask questions, just disappeared and returned 20 minutes later with a turkey sandwich, apple slices, and a bottle of water from the staff break room. She sat with me while I ate, talking about her own daughter, now grown. Family can be complicated, she said quietly, and I nodded, unable to speak past the lump in my throat. Emma began to improve on day 5. The doctor said her oxygen levels were stabilizing. By day 7, they moved her out of intensive care into the regular pediatric ward. The relief nearly broke me. I cried in the bathroom for 20 minutes, the kind of crying that comes from somewhere deep and primal. By day 10 we went home to my small apartment, just the 2 of us. The apartment had never felt so empty and so full at the same time. Emma's breathing was still raspy, requiring breathing treatments every 4 hours. I set alarms, kept detailed logs, and called the pediatrician twice a day with updates. I blocked out the memory of that group chat, filed it away in a place I wouldn't have to look at it. But late at night, during the 2 a.m. breathing treatment, I'd remember Mom's words. You chose to be a single mom, deal with it. The words echoed in the quiet apartment. I went back to work at the consulting firm 2 weeks later. Emma in daycare, my life a careful balance of bottles and deadlines and sleepless nights. My boss had been understanding about the hospital stay, but understanding only went so far. I had clients to manage, presentations to give, reports to file. Every morning I dropped Emma at Little Sprouts daycare at 7:15 a.m. Every evening I picked her up at 6:30 p.m., rushed home, did the bath bottle bed routine, then opened my laptop to finish the work I couldn't complete during office hours. On weekends I meal prepped, did laundry, cleaned, scheduled doctor's appointments, and paid bills. There was no margin for error, no safety net. I didn't reach out to my family. They didn't reach out to me. The silence was easier than I expected. No obligatory Sunday dinners where they'd make comments about my choices. No holiday gatherings where I'd feel like the family disappointment. Just me and Emma building our own little world. 6 weeks after that night in the hospital, my phone buzzed with a notification. The family group chat still muted. I almost ignored it, but something made me open it. Maybe curiosity. Maybe the small part of me that still hoped they'd acknowledged what they'd done. Mom had sent a message to everyone. Our restaurant is failing. Need $5,000 to make rent and payroll. Can everyone chip in? I sat back against my couch, Emma asleep on my chest. Their restaurant, the one they'd opened 3 years ago with money from selling their house, pouring everything into a farm-to-table concept in the trendy downtown district. Harvest Moon, they'd called it. Locally sourced ingredients, craft cocktails, exposed brick walls. They'd talked about it endlessly at family dinners before Emma was born, their dream finally realized. The opening had been lavish. I'd been 7 months pregnant, standing in the corner while they toasted with champagne and posed for photos with local food bloggers. They'd never asked me to invest, of course. I was just the daughter who'd gotten pregnant by a man who disappeared the moment he saw the positive test. What could I possibly contribute? I'd heard through mutual acquaintances that business had been struggling. Competition in the downtown food scene was brutal. 3 other farm-to-table places had opened within 6 blocks. Reviews had been mixed. But I hadn't realized things were this bad. Jennifer responded first. I can do $500. Things are tight with the kids' tuition. Marcus, maybe $300? Just bought a new car. Dad, we're asking you kids because the bank won't extend our credit. This is serious. Mom, we could lose everything. 20 years of savings. Please. My fingers moved across the screen almost of their own accord. You chose to open a restaurant. Deal with it. I hit send and set the phone down. Emma stirred against my chest, making small sleeping sounds. I waited. The response came in seconds. Mom, how dare you? This is family. Jennifer, wow. Really showing your true colors. Marcus, that's cold even for you. Dad, your mother and I are shocked. After everything we've done for you. I didn't respond. I put the phone on silent and focused on my daughter. The next morning, a Saturday, my doorbell rang at 8:30 a.m. I checked the peephole and saw my mother standing there, my father beside her. Both looked older than I remembered. Mom's hair had more gray. Dad's shoulders were slumped in a way I'd never seen before. I considered not answering, but Emma was awake and happy in her bouncer, and I was tired of hiding. I'd spent too many years trying to please them, trying to earn approval that never came. What did I have left to lose? I opened the door but didn't invite them in. The morning air was cool. I was still in my pajamas, hair unwashed, but I stood straight. We need to talk about this, Mom said, her voice tight and controlled. Family helps family. Like you helped me when Emma was dying in the hospital? The words came out flat, emotionless. I'd practiced this in my head during sleepless nights. When I was starving and terrified and begging for a sandwich? Dad's face reddened the way it always did when he was embarrassed or angry. That was different. We were teaching you responsibility. You needed to understand the weight of your choices. By letting me starve while my infant daughter fought for her life. I shifted Emma to my other hip. She grabbed at my hair, oblivious to the tension. That's an interesting definition of responsibility. Tell me, what was the lesson? That my child's life didn't matter? That my suffering was deserved? You're being dramatic, Jennifer said, appearing behind them on the walkway. She must have been waiting in the car. It was 3 days. You didn't actually starve. Don't be hysterical. I looked at my sister, the one who'd always been the favorite. Perfect grades, perfect husband, perfect kids in their perfect private school. She'd never made a mistake in her life, never needed help she couldn't pay for. You're right, I said calmly. I didn't starve. I didn't die. Emma didn't die, though it wasn't for lack of trying on that virus's part. A nurse I'd never met before, a complete stranger named Patricia, fed me from the staff break room because my own family told me to deal with it. I paused, letting that sink in. So now I'm telling you the same thing. Deal with it. Mom's eyes filled with tears. We could lose the restaurant. Lose everything. Then you'll understand exactly how I felt watching my daughter struggle to breathe while my stomach ate itself and my family told me I deserved it. I started to close the door. Now, if you'll excuse me, Emma needs her breakfast. Wait, Dad said, his hand catching the door. What if we apologize? Would you help then? I looked at him, really looked. He was serious. He thought an apology now, 6 weeks later, extracted under financial pressure, would somehow fix this. You don't get it, I said quietly. I don't have $5,000 to give you. I'm a single mother working 60-hour weeks to afford daycare and rent. But even if I did, Even if I had $50,000 sitting in the bank, I wouldn't give it to you. Because you're vindictive, Jennifer spat. No. Because you taught me an important lesson in that hospital. You taught me that I'm on my own. That Emma and I are our own family now and we take care of ourselves. I smiled, but it didn't reach my eyes. I'm just being responsible. Isn't that what you wanted? I closed the door before any of them could respond, locked it, and walked back to the kitchen with Emma. My hands were steady as I prepared her bottle. Through the door I could hear them arguing on my doorstep, voices rising and falling. Eventually they left. The group chat exploded over the next few days. Messages fluctuated between guilt-tripping and anger, between pleading and accusation. I read them all but responded to none. Marcus tried a different approach. Look, I get you're mad about the hospital thing. But this is Mom and Dad's entire life. They're going to lose the house if the restaurant fails. I finally responded, they already sold the house to open the restaurant. Or did you forget? The chat went quiet for several hours. Then Dad sent a private message just to me. Your mother is having panic attacks. The stress is making her sick. I know we hurt you. I know we should have been there. But please. We're your parents. I stared at the message for a long time, Emma playing with her toys on the blanket beside me. I thought about that night in the hospital, the fluorescent lights, the fear, the hunger. I thought about Patricia, the nurse, a stranger who showed me more kindness than my own family. You were my parents, I typed back. Past tense. You made your choice when I needed you most. Now live with it. I blocked his number. Then I blocked all of them. 2 months later I saw that the restaurant had closed. The windows were papered over, a for lease sign hanging in the door. I'd driven past it on my way to a client meeting downtown. The sign also advertised turnkey restaurant space available, with a realtor's phone number. I felt nothing looking at it. No satisfaction, no guilt, nothing. It was just a building where people used to eat. Another failed business in a competitive market. The sidewalk table where they used to serve weekend brunch was gone. The chalkboard sign announcing daily specials had disappeared. I heard through a mutual friend that my parents had moved in with Jennifer, that they'd filed for bankruptcy, and that Dad had gone back to work at 63, doing consulting for his old firm. Mom wasn't speaking to anyone outside the family. They blamed me for not helping, for being cruel, for choosing revenge over family. The narrative they'd constructed was simple. I could have saved them and chose not to. But here's what they never understood. It wasn't revenge. Revenge would have required me to care, to want them to hurt the way they'd hurt me. I simply didn't care anymore. They'd severed something fundamental that night when I sat starving beside my sick child and begged for help. They'd shown me exactly how much my well-being mattered to them, how much Emma mattered to them. And I'd learned the lesson. Emma is 8 months old now. She's healthy, hitting all her milestones, laughing at everything. We have our routines, our little life. I got a promotion at work. I found a better daycare. I made friends with other single moms who understand what it's like to do this alone. Sometimes I wonder if I should feel guilty. If I should have been the bigger person, helped them despite everything. But then I remember those 3 days. The hunger, the fear, the crushing loneliness of being told to deal with it by the people who were supposed to love me unconditionally. They taught me to deal with it. So I did. Just not in the way they expected. Last week I got a message from a number I didn't recognize. It was Marcus texting from a new phone. Mom's in the hospital. Heart problems from the stress. She's asking for you. I read it twice, then blocked the number. I chose to be a single mom and I dealt with it. Now they could deal with their choices too. Emma and I were doing just fine.